Welcome back. Today we're doing a video a little different. This is my beautiful wife, Raquel, testing out my Canon FD set that I use to shoot my documentary on. And then my good friend Adam, let me borrow his DZO Vespids. He's got the 75, the 40, and the 21. So that's what we're talking about today. I'm just comparing them, and I thought it would be cool to show you kind of the differences between the two. Not the same focal lengths. Yeah, it is what it is. This is just like an interview style setup. Yeah, don't judge the lighting. Don't judge anything. This is purely to look at those lenses. So I thought it would be fun. For this first one, we have on my Canon FD 50mm custom lens cap that I got from Simod Lens with my logo. It's pretty tight. Don't pay attention to kind of like the green cast on the wall like that. It's coming from outside, from the grass coming through the window, so don't pay attention to that. Let me get my focus. This is the Canon FD 50mm. Let's go ahead and switch to the DZO 40. Don't do this, but this is my camera, so you can yell at me in the comments. We're still rolling. And I'm trying to keep these at both the same-ish aperture. We're just going like a 2.8. This is not a scientific test. This is not a apples to apples comparison. This is just to see the differences. For my own personal, like if I was going to an interview set up, which ones would I want to take? So yeah, there you go. Obviously this is wider. I'm not gonna move the camera because it's close enough. And to give you context, this is the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K that we are using to film. Shout out to my dude, Adam. Thank you so much for letting me use the lenses. I'm gonna drop all of his stuff in the description. He's got a YouTube channel, Smartphone Storytellers. He's killing it over there. Go give him a follow, go give him some love. Let's switch over to the 28 Canon FD. So this Canon FD 28 is 2.8. So right now on this lens, we are completely wide open. Well, I kind of like the wide. I think it looks dope in this scenario. Like if we were actually filming this, a little scene at the kitchen, being a nerd, reading the Lord of the Rings, drinking bourbon, like doesn't get much better than that. Here's the DZO 21mm. We'll go back to the 2.8, trying to match it. Canon FD is obviously vintage, and that's why I bought them specifically for the doc that I filmed. But I wanted that vintage vibe. I wanted that thing. And the DZOs are obviously new modern lenses, but they have some character to them. So they're not clinical, super clean, crazy sharp, but they're very nice looking lenses. So I thought this would be an interesting comparison. Can't wait to get these back on the computer and take a look at them side by side. Yeah, there's the 85. I love these FDs. I don't know, the Bokeh, the way the Bokeh renders, I really like it. That just looks so creamy. And that's a 2.8, and this goes to a 1.8, so we'll even get more shallow. Like, that's crazy. Obviously it's not for everything. Super, high-end commercial corporate work, you wouldn't want these typically because they're not super clinical clean, but I think it's beautiful. The DZO 75, this is a cleaner lens, which is not good or bad. It's just cleaner. There's just less interest, I would say. The bokeh on the Canon FD 85 is just, I don't know, it's like a little swirly. There's no perfect lens. There's no cinematographer out there who's using one lens for every single project. Every project's different. A doc, a commercial. It's just, they're gonna be completely different, and these are tools to accomplish, to tell a story. Sometimes you want that grit, that vintage vibe. There is no perfect lens out there. But I am also very interested to try some of these new lenses coming out. There's some great new lenses. The Cooke SP3s look insane. The Nisi Athenas, super interested by that because of the price point. Those look sick. Yeah, let's move on. Let's go to a different scene of the house just to see. I'm gonna go film it up against like a flat wall, which is what I wouldn't normally do that, but I want to notice for color differences between these lenses and to see if we notice anything interesting. So yeah, we'll be right back. Yeah, don't judge this cinematically or lighting. This is purely just to see if there's any color differences between these lenses. And so all of this whole video would just be graded to Rec 709, you know, get the exposure dialed in and that. So we're not doing any fancy grades or anything. This is just to see, do we have any color differences? So we are back on the FD 28mm. And yeah, what do you think? Looks, looks decent. Looks clean, as it should. Yeah, so let's switch it up, see what happens. Now I'm gonna switch over to the DZO 21. Just switching them, looking at my monitor, I cannot tell any color differences. You might be able to see some stuff in the computer. Let's switch over to the Canon 50. I don't know, the whole like clinical Gerald Undone style scientific reviews have their place, but at the end of the day, you need actual practical images. And so that's why I'm doing this for myself, because I'm curious and thought you guys might get some benefit. But there is the FD 50mm for a vintage lens. These lenses are pretty dang sharp. And there we go, that's the DZO 40 at 2.8. Now we're switching over to the FD 85. That's pretty tack sharp for, this is just a 85 1.8, which is not even the nicest 85 they have, but you can tell, like, I'm like only a foot behind her right now. That bokeh is just, that 85 is beautiful. DZO 75, and see what we got. That's also pretty dang sharp too. That's a nice looking lens. Geez, Adam, I might keep these. This is the same scenario in the other one. It's just, this is just way cleaner than the 85. It has its place. They both have their place. Just keep that in mind when you're choosing to pick something. What story are you trying to tell? If you're more corporate stuff, DZOs might be your bet. If you're more documentary, buy whichever one you're gonna use the most, rent or borrow the other ones that you're gonna occasionally use. We're gonna now take this party outside, do one more scene out there, and see kind of how this looks outside in that environment. All right, so welcome back to the outside of my house. It's a lovely day here in Charleston. Right now I'm just using a crappy ND filter to be super quick and not mess with it, so don't necessarily pay attention to the color. In this scenario, this is more about bokeh, artifacts, differences, that kind of a thing. So once again, this is the 28 Canon FD. These FDs just have really nice bokeh. It's beautiful. It's not like my Helios that's super crazy, that is super swirly and flares a ton, which has its place. These are just very pleasing, I think. But there you go, there's a 28. Let's switch over to the DZO 21. All right, now here's the 21mm. I gotta put this back on. Yeah, it just, once again, I am noticing this more outside, just the bokeh. It is just a lot cleaner. It's not as swirly. This is the 21 versus that 28. Yeah, it's not as swirly and interesting. This looks more commercially, because that's a word. Yeah, and this is why we're doing this test. So there you go. Now let's move on to the Canon 50. So there you go, that's the FD 50. Switch over to the DZO 40. That 40 looks good though. Let's move on to the 85. There's the 85. This is the FD 85. The bokeh on this is, the compression on this lens is super nice. Let me just like pan over a little bit just to see how that looks on the trees and stuff. beautiful. All right, here's the 75 at a 2.8. I can just tell off the bat it's not as compressed, but it's a 75 versus an 85, so that would be why. It does look super nice. Let's pan over and see the trees. Still, it's still lovely, but yeah, it's not as I would say intriguing, you know. But yeah, there you go. So I hope this test was helpful if you're interested in these lenses. At the end of this video, I'll just leave some stills of each one so you can pause and compare. And I hope that you enjoyed this. Like, subscribe, do all of the things, and comment below. Let's have some conversation, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.